So let's talk about registration. Registration is the process by which you will choose and enroll in the classes you want to take for a particular semester. There's a lot of information about registration in your orientation document, so make sure to read that. And there's also a nice series of videos we filmed for our previous version of this video orientation that I'll insert here after, where Ebony Bell, a former student of ours, and I walk you through that process as well. So we'll add that at the end of this. But I wanted to share a couple tips before we get there. The first is to pay attention to when your time ticket is. You'll get emails from the advisors about where you find your time ticket and what they generally are. Pay attention to those. Time tickets tell you when you're allowed to start registering. And what many students don't know is that time tickets usually open up in about 15-minute windows, and they go based on how many classes you've completed. The more classes you've completed, the earlier you register. And that's how we guarantee that as you get further in the program, you get first choice of the classes that you might want to take. But many people don't realize they open in that rapid succession. So if you don't register within the first few minutes after your time ticket goes live, you might be registering along with people who have completed fewer classes than you. So pay attention to when your time ticket is and be ready to register right then. It takes less than a minute to actually register if you're prepared. So just make sure you're paying attention to when you're allowed to and jumping on it as quickly as possible. You might not get the classes you want to take in the exact order you want to take them. Different classes have different levels of demand, are required for different numbers of specializations, maybe shared with different other programs, or there's also just variations in demand term to term. In one semester we might find, hey, there's 400 more students who want to take that class this term than there were last term. Who knew? So you might not get the exact courses you want to take in the order you want to take them, but as you proceed through the program, you will get earlier and earlier priority, and you'll get to take the classes that you want to take. And if you're ever in a situation where there is just one or maybe two classes you need to take to graduate, the advisors will work with you to make sure you get that class. When you're choosing your classes, look at our current courses page. It's omscs.gotech.edu/current-courses, or just go to omscs.gotech.edu and you will find the link. On that page, we list all the courses we have available. For most of them, you can actually find the course videos and you can find the past syllabi. We provide those because we want you to be able to select what courses are right for you. We are asked a lot about general guidance on what people should take. And the truth is that y'all have such a wide variety of different professional experiences and different backgrounds and different levels of experience with programming that it's really impossible for us to give any general heuristics about what you should take before what or what you might be ready for. Instead, our focus is on giving you all the information you need to make an informed selection. So go through those pages, preview some videos, look at the syllabi, see what the expectations are going to be. You can also use some unofficial student resources. Students post on Reddit and things like that all the time. Or there's omscentral.com, a completely student-run site that we have no control over, where students share their thoughts on what you need to know and what you should expect from different classes. Use that kind of information to make an informed selection about what classes you want to take based on your own individual background and time availability and experience and everything like that. So with that, I'm now going to kick us over to the videos we've filmed on the mechanics of registration to kind of walk you through the interface, the dialogues, where to find the information, and what to actually do when your time ticket opens up.
The first thing you'll probably want to do as a Georgia Tech student is register for classes. You should check the registrar's website for information on when registration is open. To access OSCAR itself, you'll go to oscar.gotech.edu and sign in with your Georgia Tech ID, which is a 9-digit number that starts with 90. You'll use OSCAR to register for classes, withdraw from classes, get your grades, and ultimately apply to graduate. To register for classes, you'll use a system called OSCAR. OSCAR stands for Online Student Computer Assisted Registration. To access OSCAR, go to oscar.gotech.edu. You can also access it through Buzzport, but it's easier just to go straight to OSCAR. Then, click Secured Access Login. Now log in using your 9-digit ID and use your 6-digit PIN number. The first time you log in, your PIN will be your birth date. You'll then be asked to change it. If you forget your PIN, you can click Forgot PIN below. After you log in, you'll be in OSCAR. Now we'll talk about how to find classes. Registration is only open during certain periods of time. So, before you go to register, you should check to see when you're allowed to register. To do this, first click Student Services and Financial Aid, and then click Registration. This will take you to the registration menu. From here, click Registration Status. Then, choose which term to check. Here, you'll be shown during which times you can register. There are 2 phases to registration. Phase 1, a couple of months before the semester starts, and Phase 2, right at the beginning of the semester. You'll get a time ticket for each. Here you'll also see if you have any holds on your account. A hold will prevent you from registering. If you see any holds, contact the registrar's office for more information. To find classes, we want to return to the registration menu, then click Look Up Classes. Then we'll select our term. This will bring us to a list of every subject offered across the entire university. So we'll scroll down. Then we'll click Course Search. And we'll get a list of all the courses in those subjects that are offered in the semester. You can then click View Sections to see the status of the different sections of that class. We'll talk about this screen in a bit.
You might notice that this list is actually pretty overwhelming. You're seeing every class offered on campus for the entire semester, as well as the online classes. We can make this a bit easier by going and doing an advanced search. Like before, we're going to select Computational Science and Engineering and Computer Science as our subjects, but then we're going to scroll down to Campus and select Online, and then we'll do our search. Then when I scroll down, I'll see only those courses offered in the online campus or in the OMS program for that semester. This way you can focus only on those classes for which you can actually register. So now let's talk about actually registering.
No matter which method you use to find your classes, you'll end up on a screen like this. Let's talk a little bit about what this information on this screen actually means. Under the Select column, you'll see a check mark if you can register for that class, or a letter if you can't. If you can't, it might be because the class is full, or it might be because your registration window isn't open. Next is the CRN column. We'll talk about this in a bit. The next 9 columns are just information about the class. This won't generally change from class to class, so don't worry too much about these. The next 3 columns stand for capacity, active, and remaining. Capacity is how many people can take the class. Active is how many students are currently in the class, and remaining is the number of slots left. When a class fills up, then students start joining the wait list, which also has capacity, active, and remaining columns. So now, let's talk about actually adding a class. There are 2 ways to add classes. From the previous screen, you can just click the checkbox over here, then click Register. I'm going to go ahead and register for Software Architecture and Design. That will take you to the Schedule screen. Here, we'll see your current schedule. You'll see here the class for which you just registered.
However, you might want to do some advanced planning instead. Remember that CRN column on the previous screen? You can use this to register too. Before your registration window opens, write down the CRN numbers of the classes for which you want to register. So in this case, I would write down 90097, which is the CRN number for Software Architecture and Design. Back on the registration screen, I'm going to click Add or Drop Classes. This will take me back to the schedule screen that you saw earlier. At the bottom, you can enter the CRN numbers for the classes for which you want to register. So I would enter 90097, and then click Submit Changes. Just like before, now you'll see that class in your current schedule. That way, when registration opens, you can come directly to the screen and just enter the CRN numbers for the classes for which you want to register.
Note that this process might not be successful. If I try to register for more hours than I'm allowed, for example, I'll see an error message. So after registering, make sure that the class appears in your schedule. If not, look for an error. You might decide at some point that you want to drop out of a class for which you're registered. There are 2 times that you can do this. One is during registration, either in Phase 1 or Phase 2. During this time, you can add and drop classes whenever you want. From the home screen, click Add or Drop Classes to get back to your schedule. Then, under the Action column, click the menu for the class you want to drop. Then, click Delete. Then, click Submit Changes. When the screen refreshes, I'll see that I'm no longer registered for that class.
After registration ends, you can still drop a class until the withdrawal deadline. However, if you're withdrawing after registration closes, you'll receive a W on your transcript for that class. To withdraw from a class, go to the same Add or Drop Classes link that we clicked earlier. After registration closes, you'll no longer see this Delete option. Instead, you'll see a Withdrawal option. Click that, and then click Submit Changes to withdraw from the class. As long as you drop before the registration deadline is over, the drop will not be noted on your transcript. That means that until the end of the first week of class, you can join and leave whatever class you want. After the end of the first week of class, withdrawing from a class will get you a W on your transcript. To check the withdrawal deadline, visit the registrar's website. The withdrawal deadline is typically a little over halfway through the semester. Now let's talk a little bit more about registration, and especially what to do when a class you want is full. So here I've looked up a different class, an Intro to Cognitive Science class. But what I find is that this class is full. I know it's full for two different reasons. First, over on the left, there's a C. C means closed. That means there are no spots left in this class. Secondly, there are 3 columns over on the right that represent the current enrollment in the class. The columns are CAP, ACT, and REM. CAP represents the capacity of the class. ACT represents the number of active students currently registered for the class. And REM represents the remaining slots in the class. For this class, I know it's full because there are 0 remaining slots. When that happens, what I have to do is join the waitlist for the class. There are 3 similar columns that represent the status of the waitlist: WLCAP, WLACT, and WLREM. Just like the columns for regular registration, WLCAP, WLACT, and WLREM represent the capacity, the active number of students, and the remaining slots, specifically on the waitlist. So if I want to join a full class, I have to join the waitlist. To join the waitlist, I have to use the second of the 2 registration methods we talked about. First, I have to note the class's CRN number. In this case, it's 55110. And then I have to return to the Add or Drop Classes page. Usually I would do that through the registration menu, but between you and me, you can actually get to it just by clicking Add to Worksheet, whether or not you have anything selected. That will take you back to the Add Drop Classes page. Scrolling down, we want to go back to the CRN section. You want to enter the 5-digit CRN number that you noted before, and again, click Submit Changes. Now here what's going to happen is you're going to be given an error like we talked about. Under Registration Add Errors, you'll see Closed as the status of your registration. Under the Action menu, you can click Waitlisted Course. Click Submit Changes again, and the course will now appear as a waitlisted course under your current schedule. In the event that a slot in the waitlisted course becomes available, you'll receive an email, and you can return to this page and register for the course the way we did before. You only have a limited window of time to register for the course, however, so make sure to do so as soon as possible. For more information on how long you have to register once you receive that email, check the registrar's website. That can change from semester to semester.
So it's the end of the year, and you want to get your final grades. Let's go back to the main menu. Click Student Services and Financial Aid, and then click Student Records. And then click Final Grades. Select the term. At the bottom of the screen, you'll find your grades. Your grades will be on a scale of A to F, or maybe an I if you coordinate with your professor in advance. So now you're almost at the end of your program, and this is also the system that you'll be using to apply for graduation. Click Student Services and Financial Aid, then click Student Records. Next, click Apply to Graduate. Select the term in which you want to graduate, and from here, follow the prompts. After, you can view your application to graduate as well.
Typically, you should apply to graduate the term before you want to graduate. So if you want to graduate in spring, you should apply to graduate the previous fall. If it turns out you don't complete the classes necessary, that's all right. You can always postpone graduation, but you need to have applied by the end of the semester before. Check the registrar's website for specific application deadlines.